Hello sexy people, I don't know if you noticed there's been a few changes. I moved the office around and I even gave myself a second camera. Look at all this space for me to shout racial slurs in. The only downside to this new setup is the second camera's a little bit too HD for my liking. I kinda look like one of those ugly cutaways from SpongeBob. But no matter, I'd rather be real and raw. Speaking of ugly cutaways, I want you to sit there quite comfortably and come on a journey with me while I bully someone for their appearance. I make it no secret that I'm not necessarily a fan of cosmetic surgery or surgeons, mainly because I find the entire practice quite predatory, and I do think those doctors do take advantage of the mentally unstable in order to line their own pockets. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not a prude. A little tummy tuck here, some fake titties there, it's fine. But some of those things that those butchers get up to kind of make the jaw drop. Now the most prevalent example that I can think of is Ollie London, a British-born man who spent an absolute fortune in order to become a South Korean, and is quote-unquote transracial. Now if you can look me in the eyes and give me a convincing argument as to how that was ethical from those doctors who did treat him, I would be willing to pay you £1 million. But I'm assuming that you've come to the same conclusion as me. The reason they treated him was because money tastes good. How am I meant to pay for my second house if I'm not turning people into literal demons? I'll have you know, I became a doctor to help people. Yes, I know I can refuse their surgeries and refer them to therapy, but how's that gonna buy me a yacht? Anyway, speaking of these monstrosities, I'd like you to meet one who is so obsessed with Kim Kardashian, it is literally killing him? Don't quote me on them pronouns.
You're 25 years of age and you have spent having your lips plumped and various other things smoothed out to look like Kim. How much have you spent?
I've spent so far £130,000.
Over the course of what period of time?
Probably about 6 years, 7 years. It sort of started when I was 19, like I got my eyebrows tattooed on. And it just kind of went from there, really. Like, I was a student, so obviously this was before government made loads of cuts and I had, like, a lot of student loan. And, yeah, I started getting lip filler.
So you're using your student loan for that?
You see why the government was tempted, maybe, to curb those grants.
God bless England. I love this country. The only country in the world where you can use your student allocated funds to make yourself look like the world's most well-known porn star. And that's not a diss on the woman, by the way. I absolutely adore her. How could you not respect someone who turned one video of them getting their cheeks clapped into a global empire that has spanned into multi-billion-dollar industries? Some of y'all out here on OF suck it on giant cucumbers. This woman did it pre-social media. Step up. As I'm sure will come to no surprise to you, James, as a result of his surgeries, has suffered some issues. Mainly being reported that after his 4th consecutive nose job, he is unsurprisingly struggling to breathe. Now, this was reported in 2019, and since then there really hasn't been much buzz about him. And seeing as that article was just about him returning to the TV show Botched to fix the nose, I assumed he had packed it in.
I kind of love that because any attention is good attention, whether you're thinking bad things, you're still thinking about me. And it was more attention from guys, so yeah, I love that too. After all the attention I got, it slowly got more and more. I used to go to the doctor and I'd get 1 mil, then it was 2 mil, and then it just got to the point where I found a doctor and I was just like, you know what? Just give me it all.
As I'm sure you can tell by the tone of my salty voice, that didn't turn out to be the case, sadly. And James, to this day, is still carrying on with his insane surgeries, and most recently got his arse filled with plastic, much like his idol. It goes without saying that I can't show you the results of this procedure, but James does have an Instagram if you've got some morbid curiosity in you. Now, I got to admit, when I was first looking at James, it was out of a point of laughter. Because, of course, why wouldn't I? It's an oddity. He has spent a small fortune just to make himself look way worse than he originally did. But then, much like the sound of my penis hitting the floor when I unzipped my pants, I had a kadunk moment. It dawned on me how truly tragic and sad this is. That even after his life is now in genuine jeopardy, he is still not willing to stop. And the doctors are still not willing to refuse him surgery. And then my question became, okay, well, at what point is enough enough? Do they even have any limiters? Do they even have any rules on what they can't do? Or are cosmetic surgeons just allowed to nip, sew, tuck, and put anything where they want? And if so, is the patient bounded by some therapy? Is it at least mandatory that they have to pay out of pocket to speak to a professional before going ahead with the surgery? And thankfully it is, because before any cosmetic surgery you have to go for a psych evaluation to make sure that you're fit for the procedure. But then I had another question. Why does cock and balls taste so good? And also, who is evaluating James and saying that he is sound of mind? Look at him! Look at the state of this butchery! I can only assume that the therapists he must be going to have Mickey Mouse degrees, because the minute that I see Discount James Charles coming into my office, I'm flat out refusing. How can you look at someone who's turned themselves into literal handsome Squidward and say, yeah, this guy knows what's up? I am not being a hater. That's a lie. I love hating. But at some point, I don't know who's in charge of the doctor's boards. They need to have a very serious look at cosmetic surgery and start implementing even heavier procedures. Make these people run 6 marathons and jump over 20 hurdles. Make them have to go through every single check and balance you can think of so that they are 110% sure this is what they want to do. And if after all that they still want to go ahead with it, let them. I just think there needs to be a bit of a tightening of the fist on what these doctors can get away with. And speaking of, you need to tighten your fist around that subscribe button because legally you have to. James, I hope you find some peace in this lifetime because from my point of view, you seem discontent. I'll see you all later. Bye bye.